I am Dr. Venus Oparis, known by many as the Black Woman Millionaire Mentor. We currently live in delicious Dallas, Texas. Me and my wife, her name is Lisa, and she truly is perfection. She's the best part of me on so many levels. And we have a company called Defy Impossible, Inc. And we've been in business for 7 years in total. What we do in our business is we primarily teach purpose-driven, spirit-led, high-achieving Black women entrepreneurs how to break their first million. But the way we do it is in a very specific way. We focus on healing historical, cultural, and personal wounds as your access to economic affluence. Tommy was one of my early clients. Our first 2 years of business, we sucked at it because I didn't know what I was doing, you know? But I received an opportunity from a white male, Scott Connard, Dr. Scott Connard, who said, he heard me talking, he heard me speaking. I was donating my time to an organization. And he said, the world needs to hear you. And I'm going to see to it that they do. And he did, right? And so he gave me my very first speaking gig. And it was for a group of white male CEOs who all brought in no less than 50 million in annual gross revenue, all right? It was a group of maybe 12. It's a CEO roundtable, right? I went into the room and I listened to them speak, and I could tell they were lying. You know, it's like game recognizes game. It's like you could tell, I'm fine, you're not fine, you hurt. Why are you lying to me? And so I went around the room and I was like, okay, you're a functioning alcoholic, game recognizes game. You know what I'm saying? You're screwing somebody in your job, game recognizes game. I could see the behaviors because I know them, right? And they said, look, at the end, they said, how much, they said, how much, what's your rate? I didn't have a rate. But I knew I needed money because I didn't have money for the summer. I was a professor. I was a 10-year professor before I became an entrepreneur. And I'm like, and I just said the number that I needed to cover me for the summer. And I ran to the back of the room because I would have taken anything they gave me. It would have been great. And I was so nervous that when I looked up, 10 of the 12 men were writing personal checks. I made more money in that one day than I did as a professor that year. And that's when I knew that people don't pay you for what you think they pay you for. You know, I would never have paid me that. That's why I call my self-esteem money would never have paid me that, right? But my self-worth money was the money they paid me because of the value I brought. And who would have thought that my ability to tell the truth to your face, unvarnished, curse, pray, cry, whatever it takes, people would pay me for that. I didn't know. And Tommy was one of those people in that group. And I was able to take care of Tommy and love on him and empower him to close a $1.2 million investment deal in 42 minutes. So, and I designed that whole conversation. So it's not hard. It's easier to make your first million than it is to make your first 100,000. That one is harder. But after that, because it's a state change, but after that it becomes about multiplying money. You know, it's about multiplying. It's not about adding. It's about multiplication. No, monetizing your mess is serious. Sometimes I say monetizing your mess. Sometimes I say pimping your pain for profit. Sometimes I'll say dollarizing your disappointment. Sometimes I'll say cashing in on your courage. But it all comes back to this whole notion that the thing that you think is the worst thing that has ever happened to you in your life. I mean, the absolute yuck, the bottom of the barrel bad, right? That thing you're ashamed of, that thing that you feel guilty about, that thing that you feel like you brought on yourself, or you feel like you asked for it, whatever that, or how could they do this to me? Whatever that is, wherever life broke your heart, I say, based in my lived experience and working with thousands of people over the last 25 years, that your $1 million moneymaker is not located in your brain. It's not located in your skills or your charisma. Your $1 million moneymaker is located in your pain. It's the last place you're going to look, which is why I think God put it there. And you cannot access it until you heal. So what I have learned and what I've been able to do is I've been able to take all of the bad stuff, well, most of it, can't say all of it, because there's still stuff I think I'm still healing, but the bad stuff that happened when I was younger, my mama put me out when I was 16, but things were bad before 16. But that's where I start the story because I don't want people to be worried about me, right? And I don't want to have people on the floor. But all the bad stuff that happened before I got on the streets and when I was on the streets, it gave me a particular capacity, right? And I don't think it's unique to me. I just, blame it on Stanford. I learned how to, make it work. But it's, when you come through some kind of hardship, you develop a capacity. And it's not the same as a skill. It's not. Because a skill is, and to me, a skill is something that you're trained in and cultivated in. A capacity has to do with stretching who you know yourself to be. It is it's an expansion. My body can feel it, you know what I'm saying? So you develop capacities. I developed a capacity of hearing what people are not saying. Because on the street, everybody lies. It's crazy. That's the nature of street, right? No one tells the truth because you don't want to get took, right? And so I got really good at listening deeply, discerning, picking up people's nonverbals, like really, in queer community, we call it reading people, right? So I got real good at reading. And it was functional. It was because I needed people to help me. I needed to be fed. I needed to be protected. So I got real good at listening for what do I need to say to you to get you on my side? What do I need to provide you to have you watch my back? So I have a particular capacity to hear what people are not saying. That same capacity is what I use in my business. What I'm really good at is I can listen to you and I can hear where life broke your heart. I can hear where you're wounded. I can tell you what happened. I don't have to tell you the details, but I can give you really, really accurate strokes because game recognizes game, right? If you're on the streets, you get good at stuff. So I'm very good at understanding and navigating social systems. I'm very good at navigating people, okay? And so when I'm with a client, I'm listening for what will people buy from you. And I can actually hear what they will buy from you based on your pain, not on your skill, and because of that, I can then wrap language around it so that 100% of the right people who are your people who can have a heart connection with you will become your high-end clients. I have 4 degrees. They're all fine art degrees, okay? So I did my first degree at Defies University in Long Island, New York. And that was in theater. So if I'm over the top, I got it honest. I did my second degree. It was a MFA at the Ohio State University, and the count is in the official name, right? And that was in movement theater with an emphasis on choreography and mime. I did my MA in drama and my PhD in literary theory and dramatic criticism. And both of the last 2 degrees came from Stanford. So that's my educational pedigree, if you will. And it's ironic because you would think that someone who spent so much, like 13, 14, 15 years in school, that it would be the main focus. That's not what shaped my career. What shaped my career was my background of living off the streets. So that's a different kind of education, if you will. Going to school, I went to school to eat. It was very functional, right? By the time I got to Stanford, I was in a different space, a different energetic space. But going from the streets to finishing high school, I was the first person in my bloodline to graduate from high school. And I went to college because it was safe. I actually joined the military first. A lot of poor people do. I wasn't cut out for it. Very much an artist. But I went to school because it was warm. There was food, and if I obeyed myself, I did good, then I would be safe. So it was more functional than aspirational in terms of school. But to your point, what I did learn from school for my business, I would say primarily the main thing is the ability to think through complex ideas. Okay, and that's something that's a Stanford thing. You know what I'm saying? Thinking through complex ideas and innovating. That's a Stanford thing. That's what we do. And I think every school has its print. I am very Stanford. When I was on the streets, it's a lot there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm always mindful about how to be appropriate. But I was sleeping outside. I was sleeping in alleys, eating out of trash cans. I couldn't take care of myself because I didn't have a place to go, you know what I'm saying? And so I was on my street corner. It was Baltimore, Maryland, Monument and Federal Street. It's an intersection right there, right? Right around the corner from Johns Hopkins University, okay? And I was sitting there literally steeped in urine and beer. And I prayed. It was not a fancy prayer. It was that, God, please help me. That's all I had. And the next day I went to school because they had food there, because I was able to get breakfast and lunch at school. So I went to school to eat, and so if I did the work, I could come back. You know, so that's the logic of a child. And so the answer to that prayer was my 9th grade math teacher. Her name is Judy Francis, and she's retired now. We call her Nana now. But I came to school and the kids said bad things. We call it bullying now. You know, back then we called it teasing, right? And the other teachers, they turned their heads. But to be fair, I don't think they even know what to do with me. You know, you have somebody come in smelling like urine. I'm working on my cursing. It's good luck. I have to pause sometimes. But she said, Venus, go sit in my room. I went and sat in her classroom. And she said to the other students who came in, because they were saying things, they were being mean. She said, if anyone says anything to Venus, I'm going to give you a 0. And it was the first time in my life I felt protected. So I'm sitting in the back of a classroom, I'm not saying anything, and she's acting like everything's normal. And I'm good with it. You know what I'm saying? So I just stay in her class. I don't say nothing. And she says, are you hungry? I just nodded my head. So she took me to get some food. It was after school, and she took to McDonald's, fish fillet, fries, Sprite, and I was sitting in her car, we were eating. And she said, where do you live? And I stopped chewing. I didn't want to tell her that I didn't have a place to stay. And she was kind. She said, well, what part of town can I drop you off? Which is very gracious. And I said, Federal Monument Street. She said, okay. So she dropped me off there, and she said, come back again tomorrow. I'll have something for you. And I went back the next day. And when I went back, in the same seat she sat me in the day before, there was a bag. And in the bag was a toothbrush, toothpaste, and Hanes underwear in the plastic wrap. They weren't open. They weren't used. They were brand new. This was like Christmas to me. Right? I'm like, it wasn't something from a church or a Salvation Army or from Goodwill or something I had found in the trash. It wasn't something I had to clean with my hands or dry. You see what I'm saying? And I felt so appreciative that the only thing I thought I could do to help her understand was I stayed and I started wiping down her boards. Because chalkboards, you beat the erasers, and there's the yellow chalk and the white chalk, so I wiped down her boards. Because that was my way of trying to say thank you. Because I didn't know what to do to help her understand how that she was kind to me. And so I kept coming back, you know. So if we got into this rhythm, I would stay after school. I would wipe her boards. She would feed me. She would drop me off, and it was go on. This went on for months, right? And so if you think about it, that's like 5 meals a week. So school did breakfast and lunch. Nana took care of dinner. So that means I only had to deal with food on Saturday and Sunday. This is a good deal, right? So I'm like, this is great. And so she would give me books. I would read them in the back of she's a math teacher. She would give me college pamphlets. I didn't really know what to do with them, but she gave them to me, so you know I did that. She would just love me, you know. And so one day she came to the back of the room and she said, look, if you're not going to talk, then write. But she said it in a teacher tone that scared me. So I'm like, uh-oh, if I don't do what she say, I'm going to lose my food. And so I wrote down my thoughts. She gave me a pencil and a pad. And I was reading a book she gave me. So I was a little surprised by the tone. But I'm like, you know what? We're good. I wrote down my thoughts. They came out, and they really just were short sentences. There was nothing, it was just like the thoughts in my head. She read them. She typed them up, and she sent them to the NAACP AXO Poetry Contest, and I won. And it's like, who is this chick? The winning didn't trip me out because I didn't have a context of the winning. It wasn't something, I had no world around that, right? But what I did have was here was a person who was a stranger, not blood, nothing Just a regular teacher, that like literally living in an apartment, regular, like the inner city high school teacher. And she was the one who gave me the tools to have a voice, because that's what that pen and pad were. It was actually a pencil and a pad. And she turned herself into a resource on my behalf so I could see me with new eyes. She's a math teacher, not social studies, not English. That meant she had to go find a poetry contest. You see what I'm saying? And she poured a love on me that I didn't have to earn or prove or pay for with my body in any way, shape, or form. The streets is transactional. This is not transactional. This is different than everything else I've ever had. And so I had what I call my very first new thought. I was so used to being in pain that I identified myself as pain. Because if you don't know it, you just feel like that's how it's normal, right? And I had my very first, what I call new thought. And the thought was, you know, pretty simple. It was some version of Miss Francis sees me different than how I see me. Because she had to, because her way of, she was relating to me very different than how I was relating to me. And I said, if I could see me, she sees me as somebody who matters, not a piece of trash. And I really did believe I was a piece of trash. And that is the cleanest version of trash I could say, right? Because I was taught that way. I was raised to believe that. So I knew it was true. Well, it was true for me, but she didn't treat me like that. So it's like there's this contrast, right? And I said, if I could see me the way that she sees me, then maybe I could do something with my life. And that's when I got committed to living instead of dying. Because I had no desire for living. You know, it wasn't ambition. It was survival. That's the best language. So it was because of her love. I mean, literally, she taught me how to eat with a fork. She got me my first bed. I was used to sleeping on the floor. She moved me into her house. She had the other teachers sign a piece of paper, a petition, or some kind of paperwork to get me declared independent as a minor. So I could apply and get welfare, food stamps. I could get student loans. You know, so like she did all that. Yeah. That's what she did. I didn't do this life. I get people ask me a lot, like, how did you become successful? How do you become a multimillionaire? I didn't. And it's hard for me to hear that because we're so oriented around willpower. My willpower did not do this. My willpower had nothing to do with this. It was mercy. It was grace. It was love. I'm a product of somebody's love. And it's because of her love that I'm whole. And it's because of her love that I am well. And it's because of her love I'm alive. So it's not my walk. I can't claim my life like I did something. What I can claim is that I was willing to heal. And that is the thing. I think a lot of times we think that money is a function of effort. You know what I'm saying? Of doing something, to get something, to be somebody, you know? And I get it. I get the whole history. I understand it. My experience has taught me that money is an energetic exchange. And if you don't understand it as an energetic exchange, you will always be doing something to get something that is not real. Money isn't real. It cannot be touched. The tender that you touch is not money. It stands in for, it's a sign, it's a signifier. Just like a cowrie shell or a cow or a goat or cotton or tobacco are all symbolic of an energetic exchange. So if you don't understand that, what you're going to do is keep working to get money. But working is a residue from slavery. It's a working class, an industrial revolution thinking time thing. It's a functional thing, but it doesn't do anything in the 21st century because we live in terms of technology and ideas. So what I do is I literally teach my people how to make money, not from what you do, but from what you know. And if you don't understand that, what you will be is in a caste system that's 8 generations deep because you never made the transition from effort to energy. It sounds woo-woo, but it works. I think that fundamentally, I just want to make Nana proud. You know what I'm saying? I want my life to be useful. You know, I think that in terms of a career, I don't think of my life as a career. I don't hold it as a career. And I think it's a fair question, like how, you know, what do I see my career being like in the future? But I don't hold my business as a career. I hold it as a calling. I hold my life as a miracle. And I think that fundamentally, I just want to make sure that I make God proud, that I make Nana proud, that it wasn't wasted. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm a product of a lot of people's love. You know, I talk about Nana, but there were other people. There's Uncle Jesse, there's Miss Simley, there's Miss Claiborne, there's different people who loved me in my brokenness, in the stench, you know? And I want my life, I want to love the way they loved me. You see what I'm saying? I want to love the people that I'm supposed to love, the people for whom I'm the answer to their prayer, right? I want to love them the way Nana loved me. I want to give them something beautiful that they can't get anywhere else. And I want to give them something, that transforms the trajectory of their bloodline. That it didn't start with me and it didn't end with me. It didn't start with Nana, it didn't end with her. She was loved by her mother, you know what I'm saying? And she gave me that love. And I want to honor her love by loving you with everything that I got so that you win. And I don't think that people understand that love and money are the same energetic. They're the exact same energy. They both require you being able to receive. And until you clear out all of the negativity in your heart space, Spirit can't move through you to manifest. I don't make money, I manifest millions. And there's a difference. And yes, some doing is done. It's not magical. You have to have a sufficient condition. But you have to have a sufficient condition to go to school. You know what I'm saying? You got to have the sufficient condition to do anything. So in the future, you know, we have a TV show. You know, I'm executive producing and starting my own TV show. Let me see. We've done $4 million in the last 5 years. We're on track to double what we did in 5 and 1 plus more. We are touring. We have a bestseller out. I guess what I want my future to do, I want to reach more people. I want to help more people. And I want to free more people. Because I think that when you have your own money, you're free. I don't think you're free until you're your own boss. Because if you're not, you're always at the mercy of other people's agendas in the economy. But when you have your own, when you can take that which makes you special and unique, and I mean it in the negative, not in the positive. I mean all the stuff that you think is bad about you, when you can actually have that be an asset instead of a liability, you get free. And when you monetize it, you actually help other people get free. So I guess I'm a freedom girl, you know. I think I'm committed to people being free, and I want my life to be a living demonstration that anything's possible, that you don't have to. You know, some people will discredit me because I have a PhD from Stanford. They'll say, well, you know, she had, you know, da-da-da-da, and all that. I'm like, no, you could say that. But, you know, before there was Stanford, there was the streets, you know, and I'm more street than Stanford. Okay, and this is me on my best behavior. I haven't even dropped an F-bomb or nothing. So I'm multilingual. I speak fluent street. But I also speak Black Girl Magic. I speak money. I speak healing. I traffic in woo-woo. So it's I don't know. I think I just want my life to be I want my life to be useful. And I figure that God is smarter than me. So, you know, we'll keep taking the next right step.